Hi and welcome to a video on additional mathematics for year 9. So this is the first chapter and students will learn about how to solve simultaneous equations, but for the first subtopics the students will be introduced to some of the basic algebraic technique that you require to know before you can begin to move on to solving simultaneous equations. So for the first one here, the students then objectives are to factorize algebraic expressions of this form. So this is a quadratic form, actually we call it. Okay, this is ax squared plus bx plus c, which a, b and c are random integers, so it can be fractions and so on. And for the second learning objective, students will change the subject of a formula. So over here, for factorizing algebraic expression, students will learn on how to use the cross method. So for this cross method, it involves some trial and error concepts. And in this cross method, students will be studying about how to find the suitable factors for x squared and the constant term c. And for the changing subject formula, it's basically just rearranging the terms in a formula to leave a required unknown on the left side of the formula. So let's begin with factorization of a quadratic expression. So over here, this is a quadratic expression. This is a given form, a general form for quadratic expression. See here, one of the things that is quite recent for additional math students is the existence of a x squared. So in the SPE level, students are usually exposed with a question of factorization, a simple one. So for example, that I can think of right now is how to factorize 2x squared plus 4x. So this one requires the students to what we call taking out the common factor. Right, so the common factor for this expression, for example, is 2x. So when you take out 2x, you have to include a bracket of 2x squared divided by 2x will be an x, plus another term over here, 4x divided by 2x will become 2. So this is a simple factorization. But for factorization of a quadratic expression involves a quite follow-up method over here. It's quite advanced, but as the student practice a lot of this, it will be quite simple. So let's begin. So here we have a factorization of x squared plus bx plus c. So here in front of the x squared, it's a number 1. So consider this case, the coefficient of x squared is 1. So for the x squared, it's obvious that the factor is going to be x times x to make x squared. But then for the another term that you need to split up into factors are the number c. So here c will be split into factors also. So here the general form for the factorization, the result that you must get is in this form, right? So it's going to be double brackets and there's an x on both brackets, and the p and q are the factors of the c. So to find these values, so we can use what we call a cross method. So cross methods work like this. So step 1, you must draw a cross this, and then once you have drawn the cross, you must write down the x squared and the constant term. So for example, here we take x squared plus 8x plus 15. So here you put in x squared and also 15. Right. For the second step, we must write down a pair of factors of x squared. We will put it here and here. Right, this is the factor for x squared and a pair of factors of 15. So here is the pair of the factors of 15. So for x squared, we have decided to put x and x. So here, let's put in x and x. And then as for the factors of 15, so 15 has two possible combinations. So here you can have 1 times 15, or you can have 3 times 5. So over here, for the sake of to get the correct one, let's put in 5 and 3. So here 5 and 3 multiplied together, we will get 15. So this one, since 15 is a plus or positive number, so we also need to include the signs also for the number 5 and 3. So here, let's put in positive 5 and positive 3. So here, these factors, okay, must be checked in the step 3. So what do we do with these two is to cross multiply the factors. So when you cross multiply the factors, for example, cross method the second x into 5. So you will get positive 5x. And as for the second number, x times 3, positive 3, you will get plus 3x. Now, what are you going to check over here is that what is the result when you sum them in the third column. So in the third column, plus 5x plus 3x is going to be plus 8x. So when you have a look at your original expression, the 8x is actually here. So which means if you manage to get this correctly, that means you are doing the correct cross multiplying and cross method overall. So this is the factor that you should find. So the correct factorization for this expression, x squared plus 8x plus 15, is going to be these two pair of factors. So here, the first bracket will be x plus 5. So you are going to write down the factors horizontally, pair by pair. So here, x plus 5 is the first pair of brackets, and the second pair of brackets is x plus 3. As simple as that. Alright, now let's move on to a few examples that I can show you over here. So let's move to factorizing a, x squared minus 3x plus 2. So the first step is going to be prepare the cross and put in the first term x squared at the bottom part of the column, and then the second number is going to be the third constant, the third term, which is the constant, plus 2. Now, same as the method just now that I show you in the steps here, you are going to figure out what are the factors for each x squared and 2. So over here, if you put in x and x, okay, this is obviously x squared. But as for 2, now here, positive 2 is going to be plus 1 times plus 2, right? Now, let's check them out first. So over here, when you do the cross method, the first term multiplied and the result is x. And then as for the second term, below plus x is going to be x times positive 2x. So this is going to be plus 2x. So here, when you check 1x plus 2x is going to be positive 3x. Now, you have to check back this part and see whether it matches your expression in your question. So here, this is negative 3x. So which means there's an error that you have done here. So that means when you checked and there's an error, you have to go back to your working in this part. So here, because here the things that you need to change is these factors. So when you have a look at the sign, to get a positive 2 in this part, you must check back whether you have both positive or it could be both negative numbers. So let's check if we write down. If we write down negative 1 and negative 2 over here, so negative 1 times x is going to be negative x, and negative 2 times x will be negative 2x. So over here, let's check it back. Minus 1x minus 2x is going to be negative 3x, and you have the correct expression already. So which means your answer for the factorization of this is going to be, first pair is x minus 1, and the second pair of brackets is going to be x minus 2. Right? So this is the answer for factorization of this quadratic expression. Right, moving on to the next one. So for this part, it's going to be, okay, don't forget to put in the first and the third term. So here, this one is going to be, alright, I give you a bit of time to figure out the factors. What are the factors that is suitable for this expression? Alright, the suitable factors for this one is 5 and 2, but since you're making negative 10, that means one of the factor is going to be a negative number. Now, checking on the second term, your objective is to get negative 2x. So, with a lot of practice, it will come as intuitive to you. But here, if you have a lot of practice, you will sort of like realize that this is going to be negative 5n plus 2. So here, let's check it. This is negative 5x. When you cross multiply the factors, and here, if you check carefully, negative 5x plus 2x is going to be negative 3x. So it means this is correct. So here, the correct factorization form for this expression is x minus 5 bracket times x plus 2 brackets. Moving on to the next page, this is going to be a more advanced one where you have to deal with ax squared plus bx plus c, where the coefficient of x squared is more than 1. Now, that means you are doing an extra work. Apart from splitting c into factors, we also need to do the same for the first term, ax squared. So for example here, okay, for part A, 2x squared plus 9x plus 10. So you are doing the same thing also. Same method, no worries. 2x squared over here and plus 10 over here. And your aim is to get positive 9x. Okay, let's see what we can do. For the first term, instead of the previous example where you have to just multiply x and x, you need to check whether 2x squared, the factors is going to be x times x only, or you have to include a number also. So for this one, since 2 is a prime number, the only factor is going to be 2 and 1, so 2x times x. Now for this one, for 10, you split into factors. You can guess already, it's either 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. So in this case, the suitable one is going to be 5 and 2 as the factors of 10. And since you're forgetting, you're trying to get positive 9x, so both of the numbers must be positive. So here, when you check and cross multiply, plus 5x plus 4x. So here, you check again this part. So this is true. So once you have checked that this is true, so it means you already managed to factorize this expression correctly. Right? Now, as for part B, here, what you notice about the numbers, I mean the coefficients of x squared and -9 and 15. So here, you have to do an extra work of taking out the common factor. So in a way, you are actually combining two different factorization. So if you notice, 6, 9, and 15 are all multiples of 3. So here you can actually take out 3 first and factorize this simple factorization first. So this is 3 bracket 2x squared minus 3x minus 5. Okay, please double check again. So here 3 times 2 is 6, and then 3 times -3 is -9, and 3 times -5 is going to be -15. So this part is only partial working, so you have to complete the factorization by also factorizing the quadratic expression in the brackets. So for this one, okay, if you do the cross method, you will do this, okay, but you take the numbers, the terms, from the terms after you simplify, after you factorize this expression by taking out 3 first. So you will take 2x squared and also -5, and your aim is to get -3x in the third column. So here, 2x squared is 2x times x, and as for number 5, okay, it's a prime number, good number, so that means the factors is only 5 and 1. So for this case, you will put 5 and 1, but then you have to also check the sign. Since you're dealing with -5, that means one of the numbers here is going to be negative. So for this case, the negative is -5 and 1 is going to be a positive number. Okay, let's check whether you have the correct factors. So here, cross multiply x and -5, you will get -5x, and 2x plus 1 is going to be positive 2x. So here, if you check this part, is this relationship true? Yes, this is true. So that means you have the correct factorization element over here. So what means you will have 2x minus 5 bracket x plus 1. But don't forget that initially in the first step, you already take out 3 as the common factor for this expression. So which means you also need to bring 3 as your final answer for this factorization. Alright, moving on to the next one is going to be quadratic expression where a is negative. So a over here, reminder again, a coefficient for x squared. So here, when you have a look at the example, x squared is a negative, has a negative sign in front of them. So here we can also factorize this, but you also need to do splitting factors for negative x squared in this case, and -4p squared for this case. Alright, now let's do it. Okay, there are actually many forms of answer for this one, but you can actually do the same thing as you have done previously. So for example, if you encounter 6 plus x minus x squared, you can actually try to apply the cross method straight away, but you will put in negative x squared first as the first term, and then the constant term is going to be plus 6, so you can actually put it down here, and your aim is to get positive x. So here obviously x squared has a factor of x and x, but then one of them must be a negative, so say that we put the negative sign in the first one, negative x, right? And then for positive 6, it's going to be 3 times 2. Okay, let's try it out first and check. So here, if you cross multiply x times positive 3 is going to be plus 3x. And then as for the first term, second term, negative x times positive 2 is going to be minus 2x. So here, in this part, let's check it again. Is this correct? Yes, this is correct. So which means you can actually take the factor from this part, and reminder again, you have to take it horizontally. So here you will have negative x plus 3, or if you want to make it look good, you can actually put it as 3 minus x. It's the same thing, it's just that you are like rearranging them in one bracket. And as for the second bracket, you can actually write down x plus 2. So this is actually correct. But then another method that you can actually apply is that you can actually take out only negative sign from all the terms. So it means take out negative 1. So here, if you take out negative 1, you are essentially factorizing the whole thing. But then all of the terms will be affected, but you have to change all the signs. So for example here, negative 4p squared, instead of negative 4p squared, you will write down 4p squared positive, because you took out the negative already. And then the negative 7p will become plus 7p, and then the positive 15, you will write it down as negative 15. But then here, the negative 1, you can actually leave it as a negative sign only. Okay, it's the same thing. So this one, when you have a look here, this is the same thing as what you have done previously in the previous example 2 or example 1. So here, if we continue with this one, for this part, you will do the cross method, and you will factorize the involved whatever the terms it is inside the bracket. So here 4p squared and negative 15, and your aim is to obtain or get plus 7p. So for this one, you will use 4p and p as the factor, although you have another factors of 2 times 2, but here 4p and 1p is suitable. And as for the 15, it is going to be 5 times 3, but then since you are getting positive 7p, 4p plus 4p and plus 3, and then p and negative 5 after before you cross multiplying them. And for sure, this is the correct one. The p times negative 5 is going to be negative 5p, and then 4p times positive 3 is going to be plus 12p. And here, in this part, again, please double check. Is this correct? Yes, this is correct. So this one, okay, as your final answer. Don't forget the negative sign here. And next to the negative sign is going to be the factorized form for expression 4p squared plus 7p minus 15. So this is going to be negative 4p minus 5 bracket p plus 3. Alright, so that's the first objective of factorizing algebraic expression in the form of ax squared plus bx plus 3. So here, just to recap back, you are using cross method for factorization of algebraic expression, specifically quadratic expression. Alright, moving on to the next one is going to be, how do you change the subject of formula? So over here, the subject of a formula is a single term that appears on the left side of a formula. For example, if you see this formula, if you see and observe, this formula is actually the formula to find the area of a triangle, right? So here, A equals to half times B times H. So the subject is the single term that appears on the left side. So the left side of this formula is capital A. That's the subject of formula. And one of the skills in algebra is that you are expected to know how to change the subject of formula. But how do you do that? We are going to try to do rearranging the terms in the formula. For example, for the above formula, if you are given A equals to half BH, can you try to make H the subject in the above formula? Yes. So here, let's begin with A equals to half times B times H can also be written as B H over 2. So what happens next is that here your aim is to get H as the subject. So what I usually do is to swap the position of the terms. So what do I mean by swapping is that whatever is on the left side, you move it to the right side. And whatever is on the right hand side, you will move it to the left hand side. So it will look like this. BH over 2 equals to A. Now, what happens next is that you will try to isolate H. So you have to move the other numbers and terms that you see. So here you have to move away B and 2. But here you are doing what we sort of like call reverse BODMAS. So here you are supposed to move 2 first. So here you are cross multiplying 2 to the right hand side. So what happens next is that on the left hand side it is B times H, and on the right hand side it is going to be 2A. And then one step left is going to be you have to move B to either side, but here I usually do what we call balancing the equation. But how do you get rid of B is by dividing both terms by B. So here, there you have it. It says when you have H as the subject of the formula above. So here, H equals to 2A over B. So you can actually change the subject of any formula that you want as long as you have the correct formula, the correct steps to do it. So let's dive in the examples. So for all of the parts over here, the instruction is to make x the subject of the given formula. So for A, you are given y equals to 3x minus 2. So like I said just now, in the very first step, you have to swap the position of the terms. So I will write down 3x minus 2, which is from the right side, move it to the left side, and as for the y, it will be moved to the right side. So now here, to change the subject into x, it is quite similar to solving linear equation over here. So what happens here, you have to move which term you have to move first. Is it 3 or is it negative 2? So in this case, it's going to be negative 2 first. So what we will have is 3x equals to y is 2. And then 3 is multiplied with x over here. So in order to move it, you have to divide both sides by 3. So here you will have x equals to y plus 2 over 3. So this is correct. Right? And moving on, same thing here, because x is on the right hand side, so you will move it to the left hand side together with all of the terms, x over 2 plus 5, and then you move y to the right hand side first. Now over here, what do you do first? You have to move plus 5 to the right hand side. So you will have x over 2 equals to y minus 5. And finally, since you have divided x divided by 2, so that means in order to move it, you have to multiply the whole equation by 2. So when you multiply both sides by 2, on the left hand side, you are left with x. And then on the right side, the 2 must be multiplied to basically the whole thing on the right hand side. So you can leave it as 2 bracket 1 5. So this is the correct subject x equals to 2 bracket y minus 5. Now, as for C, this is 3x plus 2y equals to 1. Right? Same, I would say similar methods also. You have to isolate x by moving all of the other terms. So the first term that will be moved is 2y. So it's going to be 3x equals to 1 minus 2y. And similar to the above example, you have to divide the whole thing by 3. But then on the left side, the 3x divided by 3, you will be given x. And then as for this right hand side, you can leave it as a fraction of 1 minus 2y everything for 3. Alright. Now, moving on to part D. Okay, D is quite different because if you notice, there are two x. On the left side, there's one single x, and then on the right hand side, you also have another x. But okay, so for this one, what you can do is you actually can try to make all of the x, because it's going to be your subject, you are going to move and try to join whatever x terms there are, and you move it to the left hand side together. So you have 3xy is going to be minus or is going to be plus. So here it's going to be minus x. Right? 3xy minus 5x equals to the right hand side, the number that is left is negative 3. Alright, now, so here, because you have 2x in one side, okay, two terms contain x, so what you can do for this one is, how do you make it into a single term? So what we can do is to apply factorization. So what you can do is factorize x by taking out x. So the x will be factorized, and then inside the bracket is going to be 3y minus 5. So there you have it. You can actually make this into single x. But then you have to notice that this 2 has a common factor of x. Now, in this one, x bracket 3y minus 5 equals to negative 8. So for this one, you can actually divide an expression like this, because this is like a factor, meaning this part is a factor of x times 3y minus 5 as a whole. So this is a single factor actually in algebra. So you can divide the whole thing by 3y minus 5. And you can actually cancel them. Right? You can not cancel, you can actually divide them. So the final answer for this one is going to be what we have here, which is negative 8 over 3y minus 5. Right? So that's for part D. And as for the final part is here, part E, is x squared y equals to 2. So x squared y equals to 2. Now here, what we can do is, because here you can see there's an x squared, so what you do is you can isolate x squared first. So you are going to divide both sides of the equation by y, right? So here y is divided and you are left with x over 2. And the right hand side is going to be 2 over y. Now, here, the reverse working for a square is going to be square root. So what you can say here is you can square root both sides. Because here you want to make x as a subject, so the x square, if you square root both sides, if you square root x square, you will be given x, and then 2 over y square root would be square root everything, square root 2 over y. So basically this is a few examples to change the subject of a formula, starting from the simplest one and then you have a more complicated one. So with that, that's the end of the video. I hope that all students of mine, please make sure that you take note of everything. With that, thank you very much and see you in the next video. Goodbye.